Hello, welcome to another VBA tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about loops in VBA. We're going to cover do loops, do while loops, do until loops. We're going to cover for loops and for each loops. And we're going to do them all within VBA. As always, you can check out the code in the description below. Let's get started. Here's our first example. We're going to cover a do while loop. A loop is just a sequence of steps that you're going to be performing automatically as long as a condition is met. To see this, we'll look at our first example, a do while loop example. You can see here is our do while loop, and here's the condition. If this is met, we're going to do everything within this loop, and we're going to keep repeating it as long as this is met. So if the number x, the variable x, is less than 5, then we're going to print out the number, the value for x. And we're going to increment x by 1. And we're going to keep doing this until it is no longer less than 5. So let's run this by pressing F5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it keeps going from the number 0. It's going to increase x by 1 each time until it reaches that number. Our next example is a do until loop, which is almost the same as a do while loop, except the condition is reversed, it's inverted. Here we have x is less than 5, keep doing it. The do until is as long as x is not meeting this condition, do the loop. It's almost the same thing, and it's a little bit confusing, I guess, but it's handy sometimes. So in this case, we do this until x is greater than 4. And I've also added something called a exit, which is going to break out of the loop prematurely. And this is handy when you're doing some complicated functions and you need to break out of the loop ahead of time. So normally it's going to increment x, and it's going to do the exact same thing we did above. We're going to go start with x is equal to 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to break out. That's what this is doing. However, we're going to break out of the loop early. As soon as x is equal to 2, we're going to exit out of the loop. So if we run this by pressing F5, 0, 1, 2, and then it should exit. Yeah, so it breaks out of the loop early if the condition is met. And that's what an exit statement does. Example number 3, we're going to cover a for each loop. This is handy within Excel because you can use ranges here. For our example here, we have a for each loop, and this is how you start it out. You have for each something in something. In this case, we're using ranges. For each range, that's our cell here, in this range that I've given, I'm making the cell value equal to a number, and I'm just increasing the number by 1. Let's put this at the end. So if we run this, it'll make more sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what it's doing is it's increasing the value of x by 1 each time, and it's going to go through all of the cells within this range here, A1 to A5, A1, which is here, to A5, which is here, and it's making the cell equal to the value of x. You might want to make this a custom variable instead of manually entering in the range here, but this is handy for going through a range of cells. Next example is a for loop example, and if you've ever done any coding before in other languages, you will already know what a for loop is. A for loop is where you set a number to start off with and a number to end with, and it just continues the loop until it reaches from here to here. In this case, this for loop just increments by 1 each time, and all we're doing is we're going to sum the numbers up from 1 to 100. So it's going to start I is equal to 1, and then 2, and 3, and 4, and it's just going to add them up. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. and then it just outputs the sum of them. So if we run F5, you'll see the sum is 5050. Finally, I'm going to show you how a for loop can be useful within Excel using ranges. So here is our example, final example of today, where we're going to be moving based on whatever the value of I is. So in our for loop, I keeps increasing from 1 to 5 in this case, and we can use that variable I within the ranges. So here I'm making the cell value equal to whatever I is. The cell's value is cell I and 1. And if I just write that here, cell I and 1, I is referring to here, and 1 is referring to here. So if you think of like x and y coordinates, here's your x coordinate, here's your y coordinate. And I is going to be 1 the first time, and this is going to be 1. So cell 1, 1 is going to be 0. Cell 2, 1 is going to be 1. Cell 3, 1 is going to be 2, and so on. So let's run this function, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Press F5. Cell's value is 0. Notice it moved automatically down. The cell's value is 1. It's just reading this. The cell's value is 2. The cell's value is 3. The cell value is 4. So this is really handy when you're in Excel because you can move and navigate through different ranges within Excel. So hopefully that was helpful to you. We covered do while loops, we covered do until loops, we covered breaking out of loops, we covered for loops, and we covered for each loops, and also how to use ranges within them. As always, check out the code below for all the code that you saw in this example, and we'll see you next time.